Hi again, everyone, and welcome into Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Happy Friday, the first round in the books. I'm James Rapien. Make sure you check out my video reacting to Amarius Mims becoming the newest member of the Cincinnati Bengals. Also, our video with Zach Taylor and Dan Pitcher sitting in these two chairs behind me discussing the pick, why they made the pick, why they think he's the right guy to help protect Joe Burrow for the next half decade or so, maybe decade or more. But let's get to day two, because there are always fallers each and every year, and hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for draft coverage all weekend long. There are always fallers into day two and surprise ones, and Johnny Newton leads the way. The defensive tackle out of Illinois, I know a lot of you wanted him at pick 18. He is still on the board. I'm sure some of you would want the Bengals to trade up for him, but he's the main guy that I think a lot of people will be talking about for most of Friday going into round two. And I get it. I mean, he's one of the top defensive tackles in this draft, certainly second on a lot of boards, sometimes first, ahead of Byron Murphy. If for some reason he's there at 49, assuming the Bengals have checked medically and they're okay with that, I think they would take him. Now, would they trade up for him? Depends on how high you need to go. If you need to go up a couple of picks, they have the artillery to do that. If you need to go up 10 picks, they could do that. They have 3 picks today, pick 49, pick 80, pick 97. So 3 day 2 picks, 1 second rounder, 2 third rounders. Do you want to give up one of those third rounders to move up for Newton? I think a lot of people would say yes. And so who knows? Maybe the Bengals will do that. Maybe they'll stay and pick, and there are a lot of players that they could pick. Let's just go through them. I'm going to look down some at my laptop here. But the first guy outside of Johnny Newton that comes to mind is Kool-Aid McKinstry. Kool-Aid McKinstry is a trade-down target that I had listed in the first round. Someone that if they had traded down to 25 or so, that maybe they take him. I would not be shocked. Well, he is still on the board. One of the top players on a lot of these boards here. Lad McConkey available as well. Not surprising that Lad's available. I think he will go pretty quick. Jackson Powers Johnson, an interior lineman that a lot of people thought would be pick 20, pick 24, pick 26, pick 28, and he's still there going into day two. So keep an eye on him as well, because he could easily be the top player on the Bengals board. And I think that's the beauty of this, is you've got your offensive tackle in Amarius Mims. So now the defensive tackle group, and I'm going to get to a lot of them on day two, there's a lot of them. There's depth there. And if you don't go defensive tackle at 49, well, maybe it's because the right offensive lineman is there. Maybe it's because A.D. Mitchell from Texas falls all the way to 49. I don't think that will happen. You know, Tennessee's in there. They have a need. Carolina has another pick. Heck, maybe they go with Xavier Legette and A.D. Mitchell. Who knows? But it could happen. And so he's there. Troy Franklin's there. Everyone knows I'm a big Troy Franklin fan. If he's there at 49, I would be in on him wide receiver-wise. I think Malachi Corley, certainly on day two, is someone to pay attention to. And I'm just looking through Lance Zierlein's board here before I get to my board. Another guy to pay attention to, Braden Fisk out of Florida State. Could totally see that being intriguing to the Bengals. You're talking about a playmaker on the interior of your defensive front, a disruptor. That would make a ton of sense. So that's another guy to pay attention to. And let's go to my board here. And Johnny Newton's the only one first round wise that I had in line for the Bengals at 18 that they could maybe target at 18 that is still available. But round two, Chris Jenkins out of Michigan. I think that defensive tackle, if he's there at 49, makes a ton of sense. I mentioned Troy Franklin, Lad McConkey, Ricky Pearsall and Xavier Legette, both off the board. Kingsley Suamataia, Roger Rosengarten, those guys are out because you already have the tackle. So I don't think they would go that route. But I do think interior offensive line help could be there. Other receivers, Roman Wilson, Jalen Polk out of Washington, certainly could consider. I mentioned Malachi Corley. I do think that the Bengals could take a running back on day two. Maybe they want to take a Trey Benson and he falls to 80. Jonathan Brooks is another one to consider. It feels like they would wait till day 3 just because the depth of this running back class is really rounds 3 through 5, I would say. Maybe even 3 through 6, depending on which you're looking at. Other guys that they could target, though, Mason Smith, the defensive tackle out of LSU. Keep an eye on him. They brought him in for a visit. He could be in line at pick 49 or pick 80. Would not shock me either way. Max Melton, the cornerback out of Rutgers, someone to keep an eye on. I think Ben Sinnott, He's going to go today. I think Brandon Dorlus out of Oregon is going to go. Michael Hall Jr., another defensive tackle from Ohio State, is going to go. Brendan Rice, the USC wide receiver, I think could be in line at pick 80 or pick 97 in a potential target there. Other guys that they could target on day 3, like I said, Dorlus, Sinnott, Tanner Bortolini, someone I really like out of Wisconsin. I'm not sure if they like him, but you get the theme here. Cornerback, wide receiver, interior defensive line, interior offensive line. I think those are the 4 spots. Could they break off and go running back? Maybe. Could they break off and go linebacker? Maybe. But I think it's a mixture of that. Cornerback, wide receiver, interior defensive line. And it might not go that way. It might be the other way, where it's receiver, interior defensive line, cornerback, or interior defensive line, cornerback, and wide receiver. But that's what I think is going to happen on day 2, and that would be a heck of a day 2 because they still have 6 picks on day 3. Now, maybe they do some maneuvering. Maybe they do really like Johnny Newton, and he falls to 42, and they say, you know what, we are going to go up and we're going to get him, and we're going to give up pick 115. We're going to give up our 4th rounder to get him because we have 2/3. Would make a ton of sense. It really would. And so Johnny Newton at the head of the class, but certainly some guys there that I think they could target. I'm just looking. Dwayne Carter is another name to pay attention to out of Duke. Leonard Taylor out of Miami. And those could be guys. Brandon Coleman out of TCU. Those could be day 3 guys, but they also might be there at pick 97. Mason Smith, a lot of people have him at 80. The Bengals may target him at 49. To me, if I'm looking at interior defensive line help, obviously Johnny Newton leads the way. Chris Jenkins would be right there. Michael Hall Jr. would be right there. Those would be the 3 that stand out the most to me at this stage. And so we will see who the Bengals take. All 3 picks, we're going to have you covered. And the beauty of it is these fallers, some of them are going to continue to fall. And we're talking about them now. Maybe it's Kool-Aid McKinstry at 49. Heck of a value. Sign me up. Maybe that guy's off the board 2 picks into round 2. We are going to have you covered, though, all draft long right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. We're going to hear from Amarius Mims as well. And so what do you need to do? You need to hit that subscribe button. You need to join the 43,000 plus that have already done that. Check out our other videos on the draft. We did nail the Amarius Mims prediction, by the way. So who knows? Maybe the guys we just named, they're going to draft today. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. And for Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching Cincinnati Bengals Talk.